What is going on, gunfighters? Welcome back to Gunfighter Life. Hopefully welcome back. This would be an odd episode for you to join in on, but people join all the time, so welcome to the podcast where we talk about gunfighting the right way with Judeo-Christian values and real-world first-hand experience. Today's not going to be a super long episode because it's a pretty obscure cartridge. Have you ever wanted to hunt Velociraptors with a 1911? Well, if so, this cartridge may be for you. The 460 Rowland. Perhaps one of the most obscure cartridges we've ever talked about here on Gunfighter Life. I think since it'll be a short episode, I think I'll put in a short bio. First and foremost, I'm a Christian. God is number one in my life and everything that I do. He's blessed me to go through a lot of different and adverse conditions. Marine Corps combat veteran, LAPD, worked some regular assignments and more specialized assignments, been a private contractor, also served in the U.S. Army, been a professional big game hunter and guide, won a lot of competitions, state rifle and pistol champion, and been blessed to do a lot of other wonderful things in life by God's grace. First and foremost, I'm a servant of God. With that, let's talk about today's cartridge, the 460 Rowland, developed per my sources in 1997 by a Mr. Rowland. I guess think of it like a 45 ACP Magnum, if you want to think of it that way. A 45 ACP Magnum. What would happen if you took a 45 ACP and a lot of the cool guns that are chambered in it in 1911, Glock 21, and just cranked up the power like Tim the Toolman Taylor used to do? More power. Well, if you did that to the 45 ACP, lengthened the case a little bit so you couldn't put one of these in a regular 45 ACP and blow your gun up, then ta-da! You get the 460 Rowland. Now, the goal of this was stated as giving the 45 ACP similar to 44 Magnum ballistics. I don't know that it gets quite that hot, but it gets pretty close. You're talking, from what I can see, a 230 grain bullet is the most common, which makes sense because it's based on the 45 ACP, but instead of 900 and some feet a second, which is pretty standard for a 45, you're talking 1,300 feet a second. Now, that is a lot closer to the quintessential 240 grain at 1400, I believe, was the original 44 mag load. If memory serves me correctly, and you can certainly get hotter than that, but it's certainly closer to those numbers than it is the 45 ACP numbers. You're talking quite a big jump, because remember, force equals mass times velocity squared. So when you up that velocity, you get a lot more power, at least as far as foot-pounds on paper go. So the 460 Rowland comes close, in my opinion, to the 44 Magnum. And obviously the 44 Magnum, unless you're talking about a Desert Eagle, is almost exclusively a revolver cartridge. But not everybody likes revolvers. Some people love 1911s. Some people, for whatever reason, like Glocks. And you could get either one of those in a 460 Rowland. In fact, before this episode, I was doing some research, and there's a 460rowland.com. And you can get on there and check out stuff. And they have 45 conversions for Glock 21s. And I believe they sell 1911s and things like that. Maybe they sell like a 1911 complete upper, because 1911s aren't like Glocks. They have to be hand-fitted usually and things like that. But they have all kinds of conversion kits on there. Pretty cool. But if you want to take your 45 ACP gun and basically up the power in it, because it should take the same magazines, it should take pretty much everything else the same. Obviously, you're going to need a different recoil spring and things like that. But a barrel and a recoil spring and a Glock, and you should be ready to rock and roll with a 460 Rowland. Or get a 1911 and 460 Rowland. Now, I was, obviously joking. Besides hunting velociraptors, why might one want one of these cartridges? Well, maybe you like to handgun hunt and you want to handgun hunt with a 1911, and 10mm is just too boring for you. Or what you have is a Glock 21, but you do actually spend a significant time in bear country. And instead of going out and buying a Glock 20 and going through all that, you perhaps just want to switch the barrel out to a 460 Rowland. That would be the most practical application I can think of for the 460 Rowland. Wilson Combat actually surprisingly lists a load for the 460 Rowland. They sell the ammo, and it's not crazy expensive right now. Actually, surprisingly not expensive, and it's a 230 grain at 1200 feet per second and a hollow point. Hornady XTP of all things. It's pretty cool. 460Rowland.com actually lists, and this is the beefiest load I could find on there, 250 at 1300 feet a second, hard cast lead bullet. And yeah, that's right there neck and neck with a standard kind of your run-of-the-mill loading for a 44 Magnum. That's pretty cool. And those numbers, and the 44 Rem Mag is a proven round, and the hard cast lead is a proven handgun dangerous game round. So to that application, this would probably be the load that I would go with, if that was in fact your goal, and maybe the only practical thing I could think of to do with a 460 Rowland. Maybe you just want a really cool barbecue gun to go to be a best man at your friend's wedding or whatever it is, right? But if you want a practical application, the only real one I could think of would be dangerous game hunting or dangerous game defense with like a 1911, because you have a ton of practice with a 1911. Maybe you go and shoot single stack division in USPSA, or maybe you just grew up with a 1911 and you love it and it fits your hand. Like it's like a handshake with an old friend when you grab one. And maybe you want to stick with that platform, but you want something a little bit more potent to hunt with for defense. 460 Rowland might be your bag. Anyway, with that, I'm not going to go on and on. This is an obscure cartridge. I'm just going to cut it off where I think I've wrapped it up. I'm not going to keep talking for the sake of talking. If you're interested in this, there's pretty much two places to go: Wikipedia and 460 Rowland, and maybe some obscure threads and things like that to check it out. But just know that this cartridge exists, that it fills a niche. Obviously, it's still around, it's still produced, and there's still factory-loaded ammo for it that you can buy. If you're interested in this cartridge, some other ones that may tickle your fancy, as they say, the 50 GI. Yes, you can get a 1911 in 50 caliber. You can also get a Glock, I believe, in 50 caliber. The 50 GI and the 460 Rowland also has a compadre in 960 Rowland. You might want to check that out. Anyway, pretty cool cartridge, pretty cool niche. I don't own one, don't have any plans to own one. Anyway, that is the cartridge talk for today. Not really going to throw out a tactical tip. I'm going to keep it a short episode. Tactical verse of the day is going to be Psalm 18. For by you I can run against a troop. By my God, I can leap over a wall. Thanks, men. Have a blessed day.